Homeschool Guide Montessori Consulting Services is a service to families and educators. I offer initial consultations for those that are interested in talking through unique situations, whether that is finding the right curriculum for their child, toilet learning, positive discipline, starting a homeschool, learning state laws, and setting up educational environments, to name a few. Please go to my website, www.home-schoolguide.com, for more information. Grace and peace to everyone. Welcome to the Raising Independent Thinkers Show. I'm your host, Bathsheba Barber, and I hope everyone has had a prosperous and peaceful week. My week has been great, and as I reflect on it, I think about how important it is to manifest your intentions, to be clear with yourself about what it is you want, to speak it into existence, and to just trust the process and to know that whatever it is you're seeking, it will happen. So this week, I signed off on another opportunity to consult at a private school on a weekly basis. And I'm very excited about it, just to be doing something that I love, which is sharing my experience and knowledge. So, for those of you who are listening, this show is not only to share information and resources to families, but it's also for educators as well who are in the field of teaching children. So, I taught in the classroom for a little over 20 years. And in my experience, when I was just starting out, I think about how I could have used a mentor or an advisor, just someone to consult with me as I was learning about how to manage a classroom, set up the environment, create activities, and just understand the child's development. And it's fine to figure things out on your own, but it's also nice to have someone as a mentor, especially if you're just starting out. So I'm currently consulting families who are homeschooling or thinking about homeschooling. And in addition to that, I also instruct and consult educators who are in the process of getting their teacher certification for early childhood. So for more information on that, you can check out my website, which is shown on the screen and also in the description box, okay? So this week, I came across a family who was very skeptical about homeschooling because they didn't think that they were qualified enough to teach their own child. And there are many people that tend to feel this way. I think because many of us were taught by teachers ourselves and not our parents. So we don't have that experience on what teaching your child looks like at home. And we really don't know another way. So, as we learned last week, I spoke on how homeschooling was the original form of schooling in our nation's past. Parents have been teaching their children for centuries, and we're now seeing this huge increase of families wanting to homeschool for many different reasons. Whether that is you're now working from home and you have the time to do it yourself. You might not feel confident enough in the school system, and you feel that your child can learn better at home. Whatever the reason is, you should know that you homeschooling your child is possible. Okay. So I thought today's show, I would go over the legal teaching qualifications you need to homeschool your child. And surprisingly, it's not as much as you might think it is. Okay. So one resource that I like to share is the HSLDA website, which stands for Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so you should all be able to see their website. So this is an organization that advocates for homeschooling across the United States, and they provide homeschooling laws by state and resources in getting started. So I've done extensive research on this site, and I do recommend it when getting started, but I also recommend looking over the general statutes or codes for each individual state's government websites. So the actual codes. And there you can find the exact law that each state follows when it comes to homeschooling. And I also provide consulting on the understanding of your state's laws. So if you need support, please reach out. So I'm going to go ahead and click on homeschool laws by state, which is right here. Okay, so here's a map. And when you get here, you're going to look for your state, the state that you live in, and you're going to click on it. And it's going to show you all of the requirements that's needed to homeschool. So for example, I'll click on North Carolina because that's where I live. Okay, so you see North Carolina laws, and you'll see the homeschool law at a glance. So as you can see, there's one option for homeschooling in North Carolina. The school required age is 7 to 16. So by the age of 7, you must have your child enrolled in a school. And in order to homeschool, a notification is required, which is likely in most of the states. So you'll need to send in your letter of intent, usually to the local school. I also help create those as well. And there are teacher qualifications in the state of North Carolina, which means you do need some schooling in order to homeschool. There are no state mandated subjects, which means you can choose what subject your child learns, whether that's botany, anatomy, learning how to speak Mandarin, learning an instrument, choosing all of the books and novels that they're reading, and whatever it is your child seems interested in. Now, assessments are required in North Carolina, so you do need to test your child at least once a year using a national standardized test. And there are many to choose from, and a lot of people don't know that, but you can actually choose which test they're taking, okay? And that's only once a year. And the test should cover grammar, reading, spelling, and math. So those are the subjects that you do want to include in your curriculum in the state of North Carolina. And immunizations are required, but of course, there is religious exemptions to that. So if we click on teacher qualifications, and I'll go ahead and click on that, which is what we're discussing today, you'll see that for number 2, it says that the persons who provide academic instruction in your homeschool must have at least a high school diploma or its equivalent, okay, which is a GED. Okay, now, out of all of your states, there are only 10 states that require qualifications for a parent to homeschool their child. Okay, so let me repeat that. Out of all the 50 states, there are only 10 that require qualifications for a parent to homeschool their child. And when I say qualifications, I mean schooling. So that means that in 40 states, they do not require any teaching qualifications. And you might think, how is that possible? But those 40 states are the states that acknowledge that if you are a parent, you automatically are qualified to teach your child. And as a parent, you serve as their first teacher, no matter how much formal education you have. So most states believe that. And this is why they don't require schooling. So let's see if you can take a guess on which states are requiring schooling to teach. And I already named one of them, which is North Carolina, right? So let me go ahead and share another screen. Just bear with me. Okay, just bear with me. Okay. So you should all see a slide that says 10 states that require parents to have schooling in order to homeschool. Okay. And like I mentioned before, aside from the HSLDA website, I like to look up the exact codes for each state to make sure that I'm understanding each state's requirements. Okay, so for the first state, is Georgia. And Georgia's codes can be found on the Georgia General Assembly's website. And in the Georgia statutes, it says parents or guardians may teach only their own children in the home study program, providing the teaching parent or guardian possesses at least a high school diploma or a general educational development certificate, GED. Okay, so Georgia refers to homeschool as a home study program, and high school diploma or GED is required. Okay, so let's see what's the next state. And there goes the code, the Georgia code. Okay, so the next state is New Mexico. And it says any person operating or intending to operate a homeschool shall provide instruction by a person possessing, again, at least a high school diploma or its equivalent. Okay, and there goes New Mexico's code. Okay, and we already did North Carolina. And there's North Carolina's code. And South Carolina is another state. So South Carolina says parents or guardians may teach their children at home. A district board of trustees shall approve homeschooling programs which meets the following standards. Holds at least a high school diploma or the equivalent general educational development, GED. And there goes the South Carolina code. Okay, so those of you who are just joining us, I'm discussing the 10 states that require parents to have some sort of education in order to homeschool. All right, so let's go on to the next state. Okay, let me go back. Oops. Okay, so we'll do North Dakota. North Dakota, it says North Dakota is a state. It says a parent may supervise home education if the parent holds a high school diploma or general education development, GED diploma certificate. And there's the code. Okay, Ohio is the next one. Ohio states assurance that the home teacher has one of the following qualifications, again, a high school diploma or certificate of high school equivalence. And Ohio states that a parent who lacks any of these qualifications may still homeschool under the direction of a person who holds a degree. Such oversight is required until the children's test results demonstrate reasonable proficiency. So even if you don't have a high school diploma or GED, you can still homeschool in Ohio as long as you know someone with a degree, or until their test scores say show proficiency. Okay, so the next one is Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania states a parent or guardian or legal custodian who has a high school diploma or its equivalent to conduct a home education program for his or her child or children. And there's the code. Okay, Tennessee, again, states the parent will be required to provide evidence of a high school diploma or GED. And Tennessee is one of those states that you actually have to require evidence of your high school diploma or GED, whereas most states require it, but don't require the actual evidence. Okay, Washington is the ninth one. It states the parent providing instruction must meet one of four parent qualifications. Either A, instructing his or her child only and supervised by a certified person, or B, instructing his or her child only and having a certain number of college credits, C, instructing his or her child only and having completed a course in home-based study at a college or a vocational institution, or D, be deemed sufficiently qualified to provide home-based instruction by the superintendent of the local school district. So as you see, Washington is one of those states that requires anything other than a high school diploma and GED. Okay. Okay, the last one is West Virginia. And West Virginia states the instruction shall be in the home of the child or children or at some other place approved by the county board and for a time equal to the instructional term set forth in Section 45, Article 5 of this chapter. If the request for home instruction is denied by the county, good and reasonable justification for the denial shall be furnished in writing to the applicant by the county board. The instruction shall be conducted by a person or persons who, in the judgment of the county superintendent and county board, are qualified to give instruction in subjects required to be taught in public elementary schools in the state. The person or persons providing the instruction upon request of the county superintendent shall furnish to the county board information and records as may be required periodically with respect to attendance, instruction, and progress of students receiving the instruction. So there goes the code. So West Virginia is the second state that requires more than a high school diploma and a GED. Okay. Okay, so as you could see, there are a small number of states in this country that requires you to have some sort of schooling to homeschool your child. And the ones that do mostly ask for a high school diploma or a GED, with the exception of the state of Washington and West Virginia. Now, out of these 10 states that I just talked about, 6 of them allows parents without a high school diploma or GED to bypass those laws. So whether you have a diploma or not, certain states allow parents to homeschool either through an umbrella school or through a religious exemption. Other states allow parents to homeschool under the supervision of a qualified person. And the states of Virginia, West Virginia, and I believe Washington allow superintendents to waive the standard education requirements at their own discretion. Usually, all you need to do is send a formal petition. Um, so there are some states where you can get around those laws. Georgia, New Mexico, North and South Carolina, and Pennsylvania are the only states that require all homeschooling parents without exception to meet those educational qualifications. Okay, well, let me go ahead and see if I see a few people are on, and I hope you all are, enjoying the information. Next week, I'm going to share a little bit more on these laws. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can check out my website again at home-schoolguide.com if you want some consulting. Again, whether you are a homeschooling parent or not. Okay, and tune in this Tuesday for the Truth Tuesday show with Akeem. And I will be here again live next Sunday evening. Okay, I hope you all have a peaceful evening and a wonderful week. Take care. Peace.